Hey everyone, I'm Almar of almarsguides.com, and in this video here, I'm going to give you a bunch of information about building your own Varg farm, kind of like what you see here. So let me start with some of the basics, and then we'll start getting slowly more advanced as we go. So the first thing you're going to need to build is, the first thing you're going to need to do is dig up land and put down cobblestone. That's technically optional, but I do highly recommend it because it'll make everything a lot easier for you. So with the cobblestone down, you'll want to make a small enclosure for you and your stuff. You're going to want to build one generator in the middle with Winona and 4 catapults. You'll see that I only have 2 catapults here, and that's because I failed. I made my pen too close to the wargs, and my catapults hit the wargs, and that's obviously not good because I don't want to kill the wargs. Getting the wargs in their pen and getting the wargs in the first place is the hardest part of this entire farm. Building it is time consuming, but it's not that difficult. Actually getting the wargs and then telelocating, focusing them over here is difficult. There's a few things I need to mention about that too. For example, don't send your wargs across the ocean because then the hounds they summon will get stuck in the ocean as they are running to the new warg location. I recommend you Google how the wargs work and stuff like that. If you do send a warg telelocator focus across an ocean, you are going to have to go out into the ocean yourself with a boat and follow the hounds as they load through the world so you can make sure the hounds get here. Because wargs can only summon a set amount of hounds at a time. I think it's 3 hounds per warg. And this is very important information that you need to know for this farm. So 3 hounds per warg, and if those hounds are alive, they will not summon any more. Those hounds can get stuck on the other side of the world, and that Varg will no longer summon hounds until those hounds are until those hounds are dead. Even if you bring them to you, they're not going to summon more hounds. So that's important to know. Also, the next important thing to know is wargs will summon hounds within 6.5 tiles of where they are. So you can see right here, my wargs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am basically the end of my enclosure right here is 6 tiles away from where the wargs are right now, which is a tad bit too close for the catapults. You need to make things literally perfect with this farm, and that is the most frustrating part of this farm. Because if the catapults are too close, the catapults will hit the wargs. If your little enclosure is too far, hounds will spawn in your enclosure. So there's a very, very small sweet spot. Like I said, the hounds will spawn 6.5 tiles away from the wargs. So keep that in mind and use your pitchfork to, figure out the tiles. Because you're going to have to build your enclosure with that information. So as you can see here, the hounds are spawning all outside of my enclosure, and I am basically pulling them over to me. And let me show you what I got in my enclosure. I got, as I said, wood. I got some bundled food. I got some armor because you need armor because you're going to need to hit the hounds every so often, like that, to basically trigger your catapults to start attacking them again. And as you see, Wartox, he suffers greatly because I have to keep ramping up my sanity. I have to keep getting more sanity due to my souls and them taking away my sanity when I get 20 of them. So like I said, this isn't the best character to do it on. But it is pretty easy once you see how things work here. None of these hounds will spawn in my pen because of how I have it set up. The only downside is, like I said, I'm too close to the wargs. So now let's look at my pen and let's look at the warg pen. My pen, you'll notice, is built with invincible walls. And you'll notice the warg pen is built with both normal walls and invincible walls. And this is purposefully done. So, invincible walls will result in monsters getting stuck. You can see as they're trying to get to me, they're just plain flat out getting stuck. And they can't destroy the walls either because they're invincible walls. Now you can use end tables or you can use pawn statues like you see here. Both work just fine. So, the reason mine is invincible walls is because I want them to get stuck. And I don't want them to be able to destroy the walls. that would be very bad, because then they would be able to get to me and the whole farm would just turn into a shit show and become, you know, absolute mayhem. For the wargs, though, I want it to be twofold. One, I want the wargs to be trapped in their pen, and I don't want them to be able to destroy the walls. And two, I want the hounds to not get stuck on the warg pen. If I used only invincible walls for the warg pen, when the hounds spawn behind the warg pen and they try to run to me, they would get stuck. And this would result in hounds getting stuck outside of catapult range, and the only way to get them unstuck would be for me to leave my enclosure, go over to them, attack them, and kite them back around to my catapults. That is going to be not only a risk to your life, but also extremely inefficient as far as farming goes. So you want to avoid that. And you can avoid that by having 2 layers of walls. The invincible walls keep the wargs in and prevent them from escaping. The normal walls prevent the hounds from getting stuck on the invincible walls that you have. So it's a little twofold strategy. Also, one thing that is worth mentioning too is the invincible walls. You can space them out a little bit more, and that will allow you to more easily get into the telelocator focus and put the gems in there. That way you can get more wargs into the pen. Because that's, like I said, that's going to be really the hardest part of this entire farming strategy, is getting wargs into that pen, restocking the telelocator focus, getting wargs back into the pen. That's going to take a lot of time and effort. So, as you can see, we're really piling up with the loot. It's getting close to summertime as well, which means we would have to use the ice fling-o-matic, because we're going to get fire hounds, and that's going to start burning shit, basically, if I don't turn on the ice flingo. So another thing that's worth mentioning is the mush light. That is something else that I'd recommend you bring, because it would be useful, especially at night. Well, really only at night. But another thing that both fires I strongly recommend as well, because depending on your season, you're going to want a different fire. But that's really all there is to it. I'm pretty sure I covered all of my bases with this guy. As you can see, it is pretty efficient to farm it through this method. It would be nice if I had 4 catapults, but we all make mistakes. And I was still learning, for the purposes of this guide, what would be the best hound pen. Also, something else that would do fine in here is if you decided to build a houndius shootius, you can also make them inside here, and it would work basically just fine. And they could work as well, you know, with the catapults. But that is really all there is to it. Warg pens are extremely, extremely beneficial. They will give you tons of gems, and they will give you tons of hound teeth, both of which are extremely important and useful items in this game. You can use hound teeth for hound tooth traps, and you can use hound tooth traps to basically kill any boss. Well, not any boss, but a lot of bosses without much effort on your part. Like, you can put a whole bunch of hound tooth traps around Moose Goose. You can also do a whole bunch of hound tooth traps for hound waves. There's a lot of options. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that is all there is to it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you guys would like to see a written version of this guide, check out my website, almarsguides.com. Aside from that, though, that's really all I can think to say. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, be sure to leave me a like, because that helps me out. Aside from that, I will catch you guys around in future Don't Starve videos. Peace!